Forget the cold, white marble. Forget the bronze statues, the triumphal arches, and the golden laurel wreath. Look closer. You are bleeding out. 23 puncture wounds. Not one of them clean. Not one of them quick. You didn't die a hero. You died a political target. Messy, pathetic, gut-wrenching. That was the end.
Hey guys, tonight, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan because we are diving into a life so soaked in debt, ambition, and death that his final assassination was simply the inevitable conclusion to a lifetime of extreme risk. This is your life as Gaius Julius Caesar. And trust me, you wouldn't survive the prequel. If you are ready for the unvarnished, visceral truth, the dark humor and the raw power of Roman history's greatest psychopath, then go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and let's begin. We start with a lesson in survival. Chapter 1, The Shadow of Sulla. Congratulations, you are Gaius Julius Caesar. A patrician, yes, born to one of Rome's oldest families, the Julii, but you have just woken up in the year 82 BC. Your world is not one of stability and senatorial debate. It is one of terror. Your father is dead. The entire city is currently ruled by one man, the dictator Lucius Cornelius Sulla. Sulla is not a politician. He is a butcher with a title. And your family, your wife's family, they back the losing side. They back the wrong general. Sulla has introduced the prescriptions. Every morning, a list is posted in the forum. Names of citizens declared public enemies. Their property is seized. Their families are ruined. Anyone can kill them and collect a reward. This is not justice. It is systematic, legally sanctioned murder. And every single day you walk past that list, your stomach churning, hoping your name, Gaius Julius Caesar, is not on it. This is the contradiction that defines you. You are high-born, yet you are the ultimate political fugitive. You are a consecrated priest, flamen dialis, which should grant you sanctuary. It doesn't. Sulla demands you divorce your wife, Cornelia, because her father is one of his primary enemies. You refuse. A 19-year-old boy facing down the most powerful, most murderous man on the planet, and you say, no. This is not heroism. This is arrogance mixed with a genetic inability to surrender. Sulla signs your death warrant. The contract is out. You are not a hero. You are a target. You are a teenager on the run, surviving because your family is forced to drain its remaining wealth to bribe Sulla's inner circle. Forget the myth of the stoic golden boy. You bought your life back with bags of silver. You survive because you were ruthless and rich enough to pay off a mass murderer. Chapter 2, The Pirate's Bargain. You flee Rome. You try to serve in the military in the East just to stay out of Sulla's reach. But the Mediterranean, my friends, is a swamp of thieves. In 75 BC, you are sailing near the island of Pharmacusa when your ship is attacked. You are captured by Cilician pirates. This is the moment where every sane person would panic, beg, or cry. You negotiate your own ransom. They initially demand a modest 20 talents of silver. You laugh at them. You are utterly insulted. A man of my standing, you inform the illiterate barbarians who are currently holding your life in their hands, is worth at least 50 talents. You become the greatest prisoner in history. For 38 days, you treat the pirates like your personal security detail and audience. You order them to be quiet when you sleep. You jog on their decks. You write lengthy poems and rhetorical speeches. You are a literary prodigy, after all. And when you read them your brilliant prose and they fail to show the appropriate level of critical appreciation, you call them exactly what they are: unlettered swine. The level of self-assurance is genuinely pathological. You promise them something during those 38 days, not as a desperate plea, but as a casual fact. You promised them that the moment you were free, you would return, hunt them all down, and crucify every last one of them. Chapter 3: Vengeance and the Brand. The 50 talents arrive, you are freed. You wave your former captors goodbye. Do you return to Rome, shaken and humbled by your near-death experience? Absolutely not. You immediately sail to the nearest major port, charter a fleet of ships, and rally a band of men. You do not wait. You return to the pirate base, catch them totally off guard, and capture your former captors. You seize the 50 talents back, plus interest. You deliver them to the local Roman governor for execution. The governor, however, is a classic Roman bureaucrat. He hesitates. Crucifixion is messy, politically complicated, and expensive. He suggests selling them into slavery instead. A nice profit for Rome. You bypass the official. You march the pirates off your ships and personally ensure they are crucified, just as you promised. But because you have a certain theatrical flair, you order their throats cut before the crucifixion to spare them the long agony. A touch of mercy, wrapped in total domination. You are 25 years old. This act defines your brand for the rest of your life. Every single person in Rome now knows the unvarnished truth. If you cross Gaius Julius Caesar, if you hold him captive, if you challenge him, he will not just beat you, he will destroy you completely, ruthlessly, and with a touch of chilling theatricality. The fugitive has returned, but he has no money. He has a brilliant, powerful reputation, but his political career requires gold. A mountain of gold, a mountain built on debt. So now, the real game begins. The ultimate climb up Rome's corrupted, blood-soaked ladder starts with a grin and a debt ledger the size of a legion. Part 2: The Debt Tyrant. You survived Sulla. You hunted down every pirate who dared to mock your poetry. You returned to Rome not as a humble servant of the Republic, but as a legend in the making. Your reputation is flawless. Your bank account, however, is a smoking crater. Welcome to the bog of Roman politics, the place where ambition is forged in gold, not iron. Before you get to the legions, the conquests, or the crown, you have to face your deadliest enemy, the debt. You are Caesar, and you are, quite possibly, the most indebted man in the history of the Republic. Chapter 4: The Debt, a geopolitical weapon. Forget personal credit card debt. Your debt is so astronomically vast, so utterly crippling, that it is no longer a personal problem. It is a geopolitical tool. You owe every banker, every merchant, and every ambitious patron in Rome. You are financially ruined, 100 times over. The figure is estimated to be over 1 billion sesterces in modern terms. Money you do not have, money you cannot earn, money that is constantly whispered about by the stuffy old guards in the Senate. They laugh at you. They call you the king of debt, the bankrupt playboy. But here is your dark secret. You don't see debt as weakness. You see it as leverage. When you owe a small amount, your creditors own you. When you owe an amount so great that your failure would ruin the entire Roman financial sector, you own your creditors. They cannot allow you to fail. They must finance your next move because only your success can possibly pay them back. You have weaponized financial irresponsibility, and in Rome, debt buys only one thing that matters: popularity. Chapter 5: The Great Gladiator Party. To climb the greasy pole of Roman power, you need a public office. You run for and win the aedileship, 65 BC. Your job? Throw a party so epic, so bloody, so outrageously expensive that the plebeians, the people of Rome, will worship the ground you walk on. You throw the Ludi Romani, the Roman Games. Forget what Hollywood showed you. This is an all-sensory experience. The smell is visceral. Blood, sweat, sawdust, and the stench of thousands of unwashed bodies pressed together in the massive Circus Maximus. The sound is deafening. The roar of the crowd, the clash of steel, the screams of men and beasts. You spare no expense. You finance 320 pairs of gladiators. Your critics try to cap the number, fearing you are building a private army. You import exotic beasts from Africa, lions, leopards, maybe even an elephant, to be butchered in the arena. You use the blood, the danger, and the spectacle to buy the undying loyalty of the Roman street. You are a patrician, a son of Rome's ancient nobility, but you dress simply. You mingle with the common people. You are the populares champion, the man of the people, ironically financed by the very financial elite you are pretending to fight against. This is the contradiction that will define your career, a masterclass in political deception. You are tearing down the Republic with the Republic's own money. Chapter 6: Death and the Ruthless Rise. Your next move is pure psychological warfare. You use your remaining political capital and your bottomless debt to do something utterly shocking. You pay artisans to restore the statues of Gaius Marius. Marius was your uncle and the founder of the Populares faction, a hero to the people, but a sworn enemy to the current conservative Senate, the Optimates. His statues had been torn down by Sulla. By restoring them publicly, by bringing a ghost from a decade of civil war back into the forum, you are making a declarative statement. I am the successor to the revolution. The Senate is outraged. They gasp, they fume, they threaten you with immediate violence. And the people? They swarm the statues in ecstatic, tearful celebration. You have forced the old guard to react, and their reaction only makes you more popular, more powerful. You move from aedile to praetor. Your political engine is unstoppable, fueled by the memory of the dead and the promise of more spectacle. The stakes rise. You have demonstrated that you are willing to risk everything, including your life, for a political advantage. You have learned that in Rome, morality is a liability and ruthlessness is the only currency. Chapter 7: Crassus's Golden Crutch. Your ambition is a roaring fire, but it is currently burning through borrowed fuel. You need a big, final cash injection to get your hands on a province, a governorship that will grant you legions, land, and the opportunity to truly become the richest man in the world. To get the money for the next step, you turn to the only man in Rome richer than your debt is massive, Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus is the richest man in Rome, perhaps the richest man in history, having made his fortune buying up burning properties during Sulla's proscriptions and controlling everything from slave trade to military supplies. He is hungry for political influence and status to match his gold. Crassus agrees to finance your final, crippling, massive political campaign. He sees you not as a friend, but as a brilliant, expensive tool to gain leverage over the Senate. He doesn't just pay your debts, he underwrites your future. You now have the popularity of the people, the financing of the richest man, and all you need is the military might to back it up. That is where the third player comes in. You have the money. Now you need the warrior. Part 3: The Three-Headed Monster. You have the debt. You have the people. You have the gold. Crassus's gold, but you have it. You are now positioned for the final leap to power, but the old guard, the Senate, still actively blocking your path, still laughing at the king of debt. In Rome, the system is rigged. To break it, you must bypass it completely. You must form an alliance so dark, so powerful, and so fundamentally unconstitutional that it will tear the Republic in two. This is the creation of the first triumvirate, a three-headed monster that controlled Rome from the shadows. Chapter 8: The Unholy Alliance. The year is 60 BC. The greatest forces in Rome are not debating in the Senate. They are gathered in a private room, cutting a deal. Here are the players: Marcus Licinius Crassus, the gold. He wants new laws to benefit his tax collectors and more military contracts to make him even richer. Pure greed. Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, Pompey the Great, the glory. Rome's greatest living general. He had just returned from conquering the East, but the Senate, in their jealousy, was refusing to ratify his treaties and grant his soldiers their promised land. Pure pride. Gaius Julius Caesar, you, the genius. You want the highest office, the consulship, and a long, lucrative military command afterward. Pure ambition. The deal is a simple, unspoken agreement. Crassus provides the money. Pompey provides the military prestige. You provide the political brains and the power of the Roman street. You agree to use your political power to get what the other two want, and in return, they will get you elected. This is not a coalition. This is a clandestine, illegal cartel. It is the three most powerful egos in the world sacrificing the rule of law for personal gain. You are all friends, enemies, and co-conspirators tied together by a shared contempt for the established order. Chapter 9. The Consulship, Political Terrorism. You win the consulship, 59 BC, Rome's highest office. You win because your political machine is financed by Crassus and backed by Pompey's veterans. You rule not by law, but by force. Your co-consul, the stuffy Optimates champion Marcus Calpurnius Bibulus, tries to oppose you. He attempts to use religious augury, a political veto, to block your land reforms for Pompey's veterans. You don't care. You march a mob of Pompey's angry, battle-hardened veterans into the forum. You use the threat of violence to ram your bills through. Bibulus is physically attacked, covered in feces, and nearly killed. He is forced to retreat to his house and effectively resign for the rest of the year, proclaiming that he is merely watching the sky for omens. This is the moment the Roman Republic truly dies. You publish your decrees under the name the Acts of Julius and Caesar, completely erasing your co-consul. The senators are terrified. They are witnessing political terrorism funded by Crassus and executed by you, using Pompey's former soldiers as street muscle. You have mastered the use of fear as a legislative tool. Chapter 10. The Human Shackle. An alliance of pure power is unstable. To hold it together, you needed a human chain. You provided it. You solidify your alliance with Pompey by giving him the most precious thing you had, your daughter, Julia. Pompey was much older than Julia, and you were sacrificing your daughter for political longevity. A purely political marriage designed to prevent Pompey from ever turning his legions against you. But a strange thing happened. Pompey and Julia fell deeply in love. She was brilliant, charming, and the single greatest source of peace and stability in a relationship built on mistrust and ambition. The triumvirate was a three-legged stool: Crassus, Pompey, and you. Julia was the single strongest bolt holding those legs together. In 54 BC, Julia dies in childbirth. The child dies soon after. The human shackle is broken. The three-legged stool now wobbles violently, supported only by the memory of a dead woman and the fear of what you are about to do next. Chapter 11. The Long March to Immortality. After your term as consul, you demand your reward. You are appointed governor of Cisalpine Gaul, northern Italy, Illyricum, the Balkans, and eventually Transalpine Gaul, southern France. This is not a holiday. This is your political survival. You needed a long command and an army loyal to you, not Rome. The Senate thought they were exiling you, pushing you out of Rome. They did not realize they were giving a tiger a massive, unpoliced jungle in which to train its teeth. You spend a quiet winter gathering your legions. You look across the border at the vast, rich, untamed lands of the Gauls. They are decentralized, wealthy, and ripe for conquest. Crassus, hungry for a victory to match yours and Pompey's, has already marched east to Parthia, chasing mythical glory. Pompey remains in Rome, stewing in his power and grief. You understand that distance breeds mistrust, and mistrust breeds civil war. You must become so powerful, so rich, and so glorious that Pompey will not dare challenge you. You have to buy the love of your legions. You have to make yourself irreplaceable. You have the money, you have the men, you have the motive, you cross the border. The 8-year slaughter known as the Gallic Wars is about to begin, and your path to immortality will be paved with the bones of 1,000,000 Gauls. Part 4. The War Machine of Gaul. You cross the border into Gaul. The date is 58 BC. This is where the man who dodged debt and wooed the crowds is replaced by a cold, calculating general who mastered the art of industrialized warfare. This is not a story of conquest. This is a visceral account of systematic destruction, all for one objective: to make you, Julius Caesar, the undisputed master of Rome. Chapter 12. 8 years of butchery. Forget the Hollywood version of history. The Gallic Wars were a sustained horror. You, Julius Caesar, personally oversaw a campaign that lasted 8 solid years. Your goal wasn't just to subdue the tribes, it was to exterminate resistance and strip the land of its wealth. The numbers are staggering, a chilling historical statistic used to define your career. 1,000,000 Gauls killed. 1,000,000 Gauls enslaved. You marched your legions from the Atlantic to the Rhine, often campaigning in brutal, cold weather when other generals rested. You demanded total loyalty and total speed, celeritas. Your soldiers didn't fight for Rome, they fought for you. They were the most effective, most brutal fighting machine the world had ever seen, and you made sure they were the richest. You paid them far more than the standard rate, and your conquest provided a constant stream of plunder and slaves. Their loyalty was absolute because you made them rich and you made them win. Chapter 13. The Rhine and the Rubicon of Britain. You were a general obsessed with psychological warfare. You didn't just defeat an enemy, you sent a message to the rest of the world, and more importantly, to the Senate in Rome. You were the first Roman general to cross the Rhine River and build a temporary bridge. Not just a bridge, but an engineering marvel built in only 10 days, just to show the Germanic tribes that you could. You marched across, burned a few things, and immediately marched back, tearing the bridge down behind you. A demonstration of power so audacious was almost performance art. We came, we saw, we left. Now you know we can return. Then the ultimate show of force. You crossed the ocean and invaded Britain. This was a logistical nightmare and militarily a pointless maneuver. You secured almost nothing in terms of territory or gold, but you returned with the title Conqueror of Britain, a mythical land beyond the known world. Pompey, your old ally, now your jealous rival back in Rome, was reading these dispatches in the Forum. Every victory you claimed, every river you crossed, every mile you gained was a direct psychological attack on his own dwindling glory. Chapter 14, Alesia. The Double Siege. Your ultimate test came in 52 BC at the Siege of Alesia. The Gallic tribes, finally unified under one brilliant, charismatic leader named Vercingetorix, made their last stand. Vercingetorix and his massive army are holed up in the hill fortress of Alesia. You surround them and begin a massive siege. But here is the twist. A massive Gallic relief army, hundreds of thousands of warriors, is on its way to save Vercingetorix. You are about to be surrounded. Any sane general would retreat. You double down. You ordered your men to build 2 separate walls. Wall 1, contravallation. A 10-mile inner wall facing Alesia, keeping Vercingetorix in. Wall 2, circumvallation. A 13-mile outer wall facing the countryside, keeping the relief army out. You are now fighting from a thin sliver of land trapped between 2 armies. one inside your walls and one outside. The tension is almost unbearable. Inside Alicia, starvation sets in. Vercingetorix sends all the women, children, and old people out, hoping you will let them pass. You refuse. You order your men to trap them between your two walls. These people, trapped and starving, die in the no man's land between the armies. This is the unvarnished brutality of your command, ruthless practicality over basic human empathy. You win. Vercingetorix is forced to surrender. He rides out on a magnificent warhorse, lays his armor at your feet, and is paraded as a prisoner. You didn't just conquer Gaul, you broke its spirit. Chapter 15. The Army's Allegiance. You return to your legions after Alicia, the richest man in the world, the undisputed master of Europe. Your legions are not loyal to Rome, they are not loyal to the Senate. They are loyal to Caesar. They are loyal because you bled with them. They are loyal because you ate the same coarse bread as them. They are loyal because you know every single centurion's name. They are loyal because you made them rich. And they are loyal because you always made them win. You have millions of sesterces, 1 million loyal veterans, and a genius military reputation. You have manufactured the perfect weapon, an army whose sole purpose is your personal advancement. You have succeeded too well. Your name rings through the forum. The Senate, led by your old ally, now terrified rival Pompey, knows you are coming back. The power of the Republic now rests not with laws, but with the man who wields the biggest army. The Senate issues its final ultimatum. Disband your army and return to Rome as a private citizen to face trial for your illegal wars. Your entire life of debt, risk, and bloody conquest comes down to this single pivotal choice. You have the ultimate weapon in your hand. Will you drop it, or will you point it at the heart of the Republic? Part 5. The die is cast. Your generals surround you. That the message from the Senate is clear. Disband your army, or be declared an enemy of the state. They want you back in Rome, alone, to be dragged through the courts and neutered politically. It is a suicide pact disguised as a legal summons. You have 3 options: surrender, retreat, or cross the river. This is the night of January 10th, 49 BC. This is the Rubicon. Chapter 16. The Thin Line. You stand on the north bank of a small river, barely more than a creek, separating your province of Cisalpine Gaul from Roman Italy. The law is absolute, unyielding, and clear. No general may cross this river with an army in arms. To cross is to commit treason. It is to ignite a civil war that will consume the Roman world. It is the definitive line between ambition and outright revolution. Look across the dark water. The fate of the Roman Republic is literally resting on your next move. What does it feel like to hold the future of the world in the stirrups of your horse? To know that your single command will unleash a torrent of blood across Italy? You pause. You are reportedly deeply conflicted. Not over morality, but over the political calculus. Is the risk worth the reward? Can you win against the entirety of the established order? Then the final decisive action. You turn to your officers and you utter the immortal words, Alea jacta est. You plunge your horse into the river. The point of no return is crossed. The Roman Civil War has begun. Chapter 17. The Shock and Awe Campaign. You expect a bloody fight on the riverbank. You get nothing. Your invasion of Italy is a masterclass in psychological shock and awe. The entire Senate, led by your rival Pompey the Great, is completely unprepared for your speed. Pompey, the greatest living Roman general, is paralyzed by indecision and fear. He had boasted that he could stomp his foot and legions would spring up across Italy. He stomps his foot, and nothing happens. Your arrival shatters the Republic's will to fight. You don't lay siege to cities. You march relentlessly. You don't ravage the countryside. You act with restraint and clemency toward your political enemies. You want the people on your side, and your speed prevents any organized resistance from forming. Pompey is forced into a humiliating retreat. He abandons Rome, leaving the entire treasury and symbolic power of the state behind. He flees south, eventually escaping across the Adriatic to Greece, hoping to gather forces in the east. You march into Rome, unopposed. You stand in the Senate, your legions posted outside the doors. You find the city's vast public treasury still locked. When a tribune tries to stop you from breaking in, you simply tell him, "It is easier for me to do this than to say it." You have won the opening battle without spilling a drop of Roman blood. You didn't just capture a city, you captured the very idea of Rome. Chapter 18, The Final Showdown. The war cannot be won in Italy. It must be won against Pompey, the real military threat, who is gathering a massive army in Greece. For a year, you chase him across the Mediterranean. The final decisive confrontation comes at Pharsalus, 48 BC. Pompey has the overwhelming advantage, twice your number of infantry and 7 times your number of cavalry. Your men are exhausted, hungry, and far from home. Pompey's officers are already dividing the spoils, confident of an easy victory. But you, the genius, see the flaw in Pompey's strategy, his cavalry. You position a hidden fourth line of elite infantry, instructing them to specifically target the faces and eyes of the enemy cavalry. The battle is a brutal, quick, and devastating victory. Pompey's cavalry is routed. His legions are surrounded and utterly destroyed. The civil war is over. Pompey flees, not to rally new troops, but to seek refuge in the one place he thinks is safe, Egypt. Chapter 19. The Royal Betrayal. You land in Egypt, still pursuing Pompey. You expect to fight a final, desperate battle. Instead, the court of the young pharaoh, Ptolemy XIII, greets you. They present you with a gift, a massive, shocking piece of diplomatic theater intended to appease you. Pompey the Great's severed, embalmed head. You did not rejoice. You did not celebrate the death of your rival. You were, by all accounts, genuinely horrified and angered. Pompey was your son-in-law, a co-conspirator, and a great Roman. His death should have been at your hand in battle, with honor, not by the treacherous blade of a foreign king's assassins. You burst into tears. The act of assassination, intended to win your favor, only earned your immediate, burning contempt for the Egyptian court. But as you survey the opulent palace and the political chaos of the Egyptian throne, a throne shared by the boy king and his equally ambitious, brilliant, and exiled sister, you find a new focus. You are about to meet the ultimate political player, a woman who will charm you, challenge you, and pull you into a passionate, year-long affair while the world burns. You have a republic to save, but first you have a queen to rescue. Part 6, The Pharaoh's Embrace. You arrived in Egypt, a war-hardened general, a military genius, and the de facto ruler of the Roman world. You expected to finalize a peace treaty. Instead, you found yourself trapped in the palace politics of 2 teenage siblings, Ptolemy XIII and his exiled sister, Cleopatra VII. This is the ultimate contradiction of your life. You are the most pragmatic man on earth, yet you allow yourself to be entirely captivated by the most exotic and dangerous woman of the age. The conqueror became the captivated. Chapter 20. The Bedroll Diplomacy. Cleopatra is exiled, desperately trying to return to the throne she shares with her brother. She knows she cannot beat you with an army. She has to beat you with her mind. To bypass her brother's guards, she is reportedly smuggled into your private apartments, wrapped in a large linen sack or an expensive carpet carried by her most trusted servant. Imagine the scene. You are in a foreign palace dealing with the shock of Pompey's head, and suddenly, a carpet is unrolled at your feet, revealing the 21-year-old Queen of Egypt. It is a stunning, dramatic piece of political theater, and it works flawlessly. She did not sell you on her legendary beauty. She sold you on her intellect. She spoke 7 languages fluently, including Latin, and was an incredibly shrewd diplomat. She saw you not as her lover, but as her ultimate political sponsor. You saw her not as a political tool, but as an intoxicating equal. Within days, you become her protector and her lover. Chapter 21: The Alexandrian War and the Burning of Knowledge. The situation immediately escalates into the Alexandrian War. Ptolemy XIII and his advisors are furious that you have sided with his sister. You are trapped in the royal palace, surrounded by Egyptian troops, forced to defend yourself with only a few thousand Roman legionaries. This is your greatest logistical nightmare: a naval blockade, street fighting in a massive foreign metropolis, and all of Rome waiting for you to return and solidify your victory. During the fighting, a massive fire breaks out. This fire is believed to have destroyed a significant portion of the Great Library of Alexandria, the greatest repository of human knowledge the world had ever known. In the midst of your passionate affair, your military blunders may have been responsible for the single greatest cultural tragedy of the ancient world. You won the battle, but history may never forgive the loss of those scrolls. You eventually defeat Ptolemy XIII, who reportedly drowns in the Nile. You place Cleopatra firmly on the Egyptian throne, with her younger brother Ptolemy XIV as her co-ruler. The affair continues. Chapter 22: The Triumph of the Mistress. You spend nearly a year in Egypt, a 9-month honeymoon cruise up the Nile River on a massive royal barge, a display of opulence that mocked the austerity of your Roman principles. You are behaving more like an Eastern king than a Roman consul. Cleopatra becomes pregnant. She gives birth to your only son, Ptolemy Caesar, whom the Alexandrians immediately nicknamed Caesarion, Little Caesar. This is the ultimate political risk. You are a Roman general with a Roman wife, yet you have fathered a son with a foreign queen. You are officially staking a claim to the throne of Egypt, a foreign land. The biggest scandal, however, comes later. You return to Rome, put down a few final resistance movements, delivering the famous 3-word dispatch from Zela, Veni, Vidi, Vici, and then you bring Cleopatra and Caesarion to Rome. You house them in your private villa right across the Tiber River from the city's heart. This is not subtle. This is a deliberate, arrogant provocation. Rome's greatest hero, the man who supposedly saved the Republic from itself, is flaunting a foreign queen and a bastard son. Chapter 23: The Imperial Arrogance. You are now the undisputed master of the Mediterranean. The Senate, crippled by fear, showers you with honors. Your power is absolute. You are named consul, censor, chief priest, Pontifex Maximus, and you are granted the title Dictator Perpetuus, dictator for life. This is the point of no return for your political life. The word rex, king, is an anathema to the Romans. By accepting the title dictator for life, you are effectively making yourself king, but with a different name. You begin to wear the purple robes, the color of royalty, and place your image on coins, an unprecedented act that signals godhood. You have won the wars. You have eliminated your rivals. You have the gold, the glory, and the woman. But your arrogance is now a tangible, living thing, casting a shadow over the Senate. The Republic is not dead. You are the dagger that is killing it. And a band of senators, including your closest friends and favored allies, now believe the only way to save the Republic is to eliminate the dagger itself. They look at your purple robes, your arrogance, and your foreign queen, and they whisper two terrifying words: tyrannicide. The date they choose to strike is quickly approaching. The Ides of March awaits. Part 7. The Purple Robe and the Blades. You are a god walking among men. You have the total devotion of your veterans, the love of the plebeians, and the fear of the elite. You have authored the Julian calendar, the calendar we still use today. You have started massive building projects, redistributed land, and reformed the Republic's broken political systems. You are the greatest leader Rome has ever known, but you have committed one unforgivable sin. You did it alone, and you erased the Republic to do it. This is the final chapter, the cost of absolute power. Chapter 24, The Conspiracy of Fear. You have pushed your luck one time too many. You sit on a golden chair. You wear the solid purple toga, a color reserved for triumph and royalty. You refuse to rise when the entire Senate approaches you. You stamp your image on coins. You have a statue of yourself erected in the Temple of Quirinus, inscribed with the title, "To the Unconquerable God." The conspiracy to kill you is not born of a political faction. It is born of fear and a love for the idea of the Republic. It includes former Pompey loyalists, bitter old senators, and crucially, your own closest friends and political allies, the men you trusted and promoted. The chief assassins are Gaius Cassius Longinus, the mastermind, and Marcus Junius Brutus, a man you viewed as a son, whom you showered with political favors and affection. They do not hate you. They hate the king they see you becoming. They believe that by killing the dictator, they will be hailed as liberators and save the Republic. They are deluded. You received warnings. Your wife Calpurnia has terrifying nightmares and begs you not to go to the Senate. You are hesitant. But then Decimus Brutus, one of your most trusted generals, another key conspirator, comes to your house and mocks your superstitious delay. He tells you the Senate is waiting to grant you final glorious honors. Your hubris and your contempt for weakness win out. You ignore the warnings. Chapter 25, The March and the Strike. The date is March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March. You walk toward the Curia of Pompey, the Senate meeting place. The tension is almost a physical thing. Someone thrusts a scroll into your hand detailing the entire plot. You dismiss it, assuming it is just a plea or a minor complaint. You still hold the note of your own death warrant as you walk to your seat. You enter. The senators, all 60 conspirators among them, rise to greet you. The rituals are followed. Then the signal. A senator named Tullius Cimber approaches you with a petition to recall his exiled brother. He grabs your purple toga, an act of shocking intimacy and aggression. This is the signal. Publius Servilius Casca Longus strikes the first clumsy blow, aiming for your neck but cutting your shoulder. The air explodes into chaos. You fight back, using your stylus to stab an attacker, roaring in Latin, "Why, Casca? What does this mean?" You are immediately surrounded. A frenzy of blades. The senators are panicked, stabbing wildly at your body. You stumble, blinded by your own blood, covered in your purple robe, which quickly turns crimson. Chapter 26, The Ultimate Betrayal. Your last remaining strength is spent looking for an escape, for a single friendly face. Then you see him, Brutus. His dagger is raised, poised to strike. The man you called son, the man you promoted and protected, is here to deliver the killing blow. You let go of the struggle. You pull your blood-soaked So toga over your head and face, accepting your fate? The ancient sources in Shakespeare tell us what you may have said if you had a final breath. Et tu, Brute? And you, Brutus? Or kai su teknon? You too, my son. It doesn't matter what the last word was. The betrayal was complete. You fall at the foot of a statue of your former great rival, Pompey the Great, 23 times. That is how many times they stabbed you. The liberators stood over your body, daggers dripping, expecting a crowd to cheer them. Instead, there was stunned silence, then chaos, and then a city-wide panic. The assassins fled, not as heroes, but as terrified men. Chapter 27, The Legacy. You died to save the Republic. You succeeded only in destroying the last vestiges of it. Your will is read. You adopted your 18-year-old great-nephew, Gaius Octavian, as your son and heir. You left a staggering sum of money to every single Roman citizen. The Roman people, heartbroken and paid, turned violently on the assassins. The ensuing civil war will finally, definitively end the Republic. Your heir, Octavian, will hunt down every single conspirator, including Brutus and Cassius, and then he will transform the wreckage into the Roman Empire, becoming the first emperor, Augustus. Your life was a lesson in the intoxicating power of debt, speed, and absolute self-belief. You left behind a legacy that is not just historical, but is woven into the DNA of the modern world. Your name, Caesar, became the title for rulers for 2,000 years, Kaiser, German, and Tsar, Russian. You were a dictator, a general, a political terrorist, a great lover, and a literary genius. You risked everything for power, and you won it all. But in the end, you proved the most basic rule of history. No matter how powerful you are, the greatest betrayals always come from the people you trust to stand by your side.